actually plays d4 and c4 as his main. He plays mainline d4 openings in classical chess, and he plays e4, e5 exclusively in over-the-board classical chess. Online in 3.0, he likes to play Sicilians with black and London system setups, Tory attack setups with white. This bishop c5 line is what he played in Charlotte. It's the Hikaru line against Nepo, people might remember in the candidates. This is a very fashionable way to meet the Ruy Lopez. Min better be armed to the teeth here because Magnus must have expected this, buddy.
Now, let me ask you, did he get this from Hikaru, or he was doing this before Hikaru was doing it in the candidates?
He was doing it before, I think, but this exact f6 line, maybe it was sort of reaffirmed. His choice to play it was reaffirmed after Hikaru's game. Now, of course, we remember that Hikaru kind of messed up the move order in that Jan Nepomniachtchi game, even though he drew in the end. But black is actually fine if they follow the course of that game.
And we do get the legendary side cam, which is awesome. I love it. And we have a trade in the center, e5. All these moves are being absolutely rattled off. Minlay has not lost any time. He's actually got more time than he started with. What move are we even on?
25. No, we're in move 18, and black has 5 minutes and 3 seconds. And this is exactly the start that you're looking for. But we didn't cover this exact position because I had the call with, I think, Anish Giri, and maybe it was Robert for that Nakamura Nepo game. And we were exploring because the time control for the candidates is 8 hours and 5 moves, right? So we have plenty of time to explore all of the what could have beens. And one of the what could have beens were lines involving black playing this f5 move. Look at Min's pieces. The bishop on the long diagonal. The knight is ready to jump into the action. The queen can come into g5. This is what makes white's position pretty scary. And Magnus, the alarm bells start ringing. He's like, I need to get those ladies off the board pronto.
Wow, and Min just instantly, he doesn't even hesitate. Now, there was an interesting point. You could take on d1, and if white had taken with a rook, you can take on f3. That's kind of the first thing that pops out to you, thinking, oh, I'm going to damage my opponent's structure. But maybe that's irrelevant in the short term, rather in the long term, because white has the bishop versus the knight, white has the pass pawn. So Min, he doesn't even hesitate, which means he knows the ideas of the position as well as the moves. And here comes e6. And you're drawing the arrow there. Probably we're going to get c5, c4 on the board.
Yeah, it's like an all-you-can-eat buffet for black, but you can only make one move at a time. That is, if you're following the rules of chess. And rook a d8, I guess, would be a tempting move for most people, myself included. Just hit the queen and kick the can down the road. Make the big decisions only after you've played kind of the low-hanging fruit moves. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Magnus allows the move bishop takes f3 and recaptures with a pawn. I guess we're about to find out. No, he's going to walk into knight f4. But knight f4, Levy, might be a false friend here because after queen e3, it's not entirely clear how the knight gets supported.
I know. At that point, are you playing g7 to g5? Is that what you're going for? Where's the knight going? Maybe to d3. It's another possibility.
Yeah, just get to a random airport, a random city, and then decide what you're doing. Make all the logistical arrangements later. Min is the kind of guy who will go c5 or bishop e4. He likes these measured, relatively risk-free approaches. Now, black's position is not exactly safe. Look at this pawn on e6. That pawn is going to be on e7 faster than you can say e7 if black's queen ever moves out of that square.
Another possibility for Magnus is to play the move a4, right? And you gotta start wondering if those queenside pawns for black are strong or weak. Obviously, a4 comes with the responsibility of and by the way, there is the move bishop e4, which you said, a measured approach, disconnecting the queen, and a very nice move, I think. And that comes from soul reading the opponent.
I mean, people need to realize, people watching this need to realize just how many times I've played Min and interacted with Min. I feel like I can fill in the blanks of his thinking process. Okay, not entirely. I'm not going to be that hubristic. And if I could do that, then I wouldn't lose the copious amounts of games that I lose against him in Blitz. But he likes to put pieces on defended squares. And when he senses the initiative, he actually can get tactical. I mean, this is not a one-trick pony. This is not just a positional, guy who tries to steer everything into positional territory. Yeah, that's his preferred type of conversion. But Rook d3 is not a move that Min will shy away from, I think.
Yeah, you just started talking about the tactics in the position, but what exactly did Magnus miss here? I mean, you play queen e3. Of course, you see rook to d3. It attacks the queen. He's obviously looking at queen g5. Now, is the problem with that move that you can simply take the knight and the queen is protected? Is that the issue?
That's my question, too. So there's two options for black here. Let's dive in. Let's bring up our early morning analysis board, or not. Min plays c5 there. Let's still bring up the analysis board because apparently rook d3 was a pretty big advantage. And definitely queen g5 was where Magnus was hoping to go into. Yeah, Levy, you're right. Bishop takes f3. White has to trade. And in this version, the knight is the perfect blockader. I mean, you could go something like g6, king g7, king f6. Even a move like c5 should be good, yeah?
But rook takes pawn is bad? Is that the point? Because white can play rook d1? Is that...
Precisely.
So Min rejected this because he saw that, but he actually doesn't have to take the pawn. He could have just kept the blockade, and he's just better.
Even this move, right, to discourage rook d1 entirely, and eventually he's going to round up this pawn. This pawn has no upward mobility. Oh, now knight g5. And now things get really tactical, but not by design, right? Now Min has to play rook d3 out of necessity. The queen can move back to c1, and this is what Magnus does. He complicates the game, and just like that, black's advantage has entirely evaporated.
This is not really a case, I think, of Min. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it's almost like you believe the opponent, right? There is a little bit of that. Like if Min was playing a match against maybe somebody he was stronger than, he would calculate rook d3 and then he would kind of call the bluff. But somehow against the stronger players, you believe them, and you believe that the queen can go to g5, and then you say, oh, okay, I'm just going to push my pawns instead, and now that gets a double question mark.
Oh, and Magnus is going to have f3 at the end, and he's going to be simply an exchange up. This is how quickly things can go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Against the world elite. And rook f7, you have 7, cbf3 Levy. Nasty.
Dare I say, this is already a very bad sign because it fell apart for Min about 3 moves in a row after 20 moves of memorization, right? So he had the whole opening worked out from the beginning, and then left, to his own devices. He had a chance to take an advantage. He missed it, and now he is just significantly worse. So not a good sign, not a good first game, but he can shake it off, and also it's not over yet. But a nice move there from Magnus.
But Magnus, exchange, blah, 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 extra winning position, uptime, more pieces on the board, more rooks. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The conditions for Min out of the gates were perfect. And in a bullet game, he would play rook d3. No question about it. It's the most natural move. It's crazy the way these psychological influences work, how much they warp your thinking without you realizing how much they're warping your thinking.
Right, because rook d3 was by far the most forcing move. The queen would have gone to g5, and you just realize, oh, I don't have to take. But in blitz, you start overthinking things. Now, the pawn is on a2. He does have some counterplay. But I simply don't think that black has enough counterplay. The white king is quite safe. And just a move like rook a1, black will not be able to defend the pawn much longer.
Yeah, rook a1, because the tempting rook f1 actually ran into a funny line. Queen takes f1, and suddenly white runs out of rooks. And black will promote the pawn. And of course, the fact that the knight controls f8 can help black deter any back rank threats. We see Min down under 30 seconds. How does he defend this pawn? Now, technically, he's got 2 pawns for the exchange, but that's a moot point, Levy, right now.
Well, yeah, he's about to have one after b3, or maybe queen a3. Yeah, knight h4 threatens a checkmate. Maybe, actually, not really, because rook a2 defends checkmate. So, and we are going to get some head shakes now out of Min, and there's one. Boom, right on the money. He's also a guy who likes to express his frustrations with himself. And down to 10 seconds, down on the board, looks like Magnus is cruising to taking a lead in the first game of the match.
That's a rook.
I was just going to...
And that's a free rook. Hello?
What? Yeah.
Yeah.